He had $3 to his name and gave it all away. 20 years later, that same $3 came back as 3 million. But this isn't a story about money. It's about something far more precious. It's about how one moment of compassion can rewrite the destiny of two souls forever. If you've ever wondered whether kindness really matters, whether small acts of love actually change anything in this world, then you need to hear what happened when Thomas chose love over survival. Because what the universe gave him in return will restore your faith in the power of human goodness. If you're ready to discover how one act of kindness can transform everything, then subscribe to Whispers of Dharma right now. Because this story will change how you see every opportunity for compassion that crosses your path. Thomas Williams was 62 years old and when his world fell apart. For 30 years, he had worked as a janitor at Lincoln Elementary School. Every morning at 5 a.m., he would unlock the doors and prepare the building for hundreds of children. Thomas took pride in his work. The hallways always gleamed. The classrooms were spotless. The children knew him by name and would wave excitedly when they saw him in the corridors. "Good morning, Mr. Thomas," they would shout, and his weathered face would light up with joy. But Thomas carried a secret burden. His wife Sarah had been battling cancer for 3 years. The medical bills had consumed their entire life savings. They had remortgaged their house twice. The debt collectors called daily. When Sarah passed away, Thomas thought the financial pressure would ease. Instead, it got worse. The funeral costs, the final medical bills, the mortgage payments he couldn't make alone. Everything collapsed at once. The bank foreclosed on their home. Thomas found himself living in a tiny studio apartment with nothing but a mattress on the floor and a suitcase of clothes. His salary barely covered rent and food. Some days he had to choose between a meal and the bus fare to work. He would walk 4 miles each way to save the $2. But Thomas never complained. He never let his circumstances affect the love he brought to his job. He still smiled at the children. He still took pride in keeping their school beautiful. One December morning, as Thomas was mopping the hallway, he noticed a young girl sitting alone by her locker, crying softly. Her name was Maria Santos. She was 8 years old and had recently moved to America with her single mother. They had fled poverty in El Salvador, hoping for a better life. Thomas approached her gently. "What's wrong, little one?" Maria looked up with tear-filled eyes. "Mr. Thomas, I'm so hungry. I forgot my lunch money again. Mama works 2 jobs, and she's so tired. I don't want to ask her for more money." Thomas felt his heart break. He reached into his pocket and found 3 crumpled dollar bills. It was all the money he had. Until his paycheck the following Friday, 3 days away. Thomas looked at this child, then looked at his $3. He thought about his own empty stomach. He thought about the long walk home because he wouldn't have bus fare. But then he saw Maria's hopeful eyes, and without hesitation, he pressed the bills into her small hand. "Here, sweetheart, go buy yourself lunch and get something extra for tomorrow too." Maria's face lit up like sunrise. "But Mr. Thomas, this is too much. I only need money for today." Thomas smiled and gently closed her fingers around the bills. "Keep it all, little one. Everyone deserves to eat. Promise me you'll never go hungry while Mr. Thomas is around. From that day forward, Thomas made sure Maria never went without lunch. Even when it meant he went without dinner. Even when it meant walking home in the rain because he couldn't afford the bus. Maria began to thrive. She started smiling more. Her grades improved. She made friends. But Thomas never told anyone about his secret kindness. He never mentioned how many meals he skipped to make sure Maria ate. Years passed. Maria graduated from elementary school, then middle school, then high school with highest honors. She earned a full scholarship to study medicine at Harvard University. Throughout her journey, she never forgot the janitor who had saved her with $3 and endless love. But Thomas had aged. The years of poor nutrition and financial stress had taken their toll. He developed diabetes. His vision began to fail. At 75, Thomas could no longer work. He had no retirement savings, nor a family to help. He found himself living in a senior care facility funded by the state. His room was tiny, the food was bland. He felt forgotten by the world. One day, a woman in an expensive suit appeared at his door. She had kind eyes and a familiar smile. "Mr. Thomas," she said softly, "do you remember me?" Thomas squinted through his cloudy vision. Something about her voice, something about the way she said his name. "Maria?" he whispered. She knelt beside his wheelchair and took his weathered hands in hers. "Yes, Mr. Thomas, it's me, your little Maria." Tears began to flow down Thomas's cheeks. "Maria, you're so grown up. What are you doing here?" Dr. Maria Santos smiled through her own tears. "I'm here because of you, Mr. Thomas, because of your kindness, because you believed in me when no one else did." "I don't understand," Thomas said. Maria pulled out a worn photograph from her wallet. It was Thomas mopping the hallway the day they first met. "I kept this picture all these years. Every time I wanted to quit school, every time I thought I wasn't smart enough, every time I faced discrimination, I looked at this photo and remembered your kindness." She paused, composing herself. "Mr. Thomas, I became a doctor because you showed me what it means to care for others. You taught me that love is the most powerful medicine. But more importantly, you saved my life with $3 and a heart full of love." Thomas was confused. "Maria, you don't owe me anything. I was just being human." Maria smiled and handed him an envelope. "Mr. Thomas, I've spent 20 years building a successful medical practice. I've been searching for you because I have something that belongs to you." Thomas opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a check for $3 million. "Maria, this is too much. I can't accept this." "Mr. Thomas," Maria said firmly, "you gave me everything when you had nothing. You sacrificed your own needs to meet mine. You showed me that kindness is the only currency that matters. This money will ensure you never want for anything again. But more than that, I'm starting a foundation in your name. The Thomas Williams Foundation will provide meals for hungry children and support for kind people who give without expecting anything in return." Thomas wept openly. "I never expected anything back, Maria. I just couldn't bear to see a child go hungry." "I know," Maria whispered. "That's exactly why the universe chose you to receive this blessing." But the story goes even deeper. The check was just the beginning. Maria arranged for Thomas to move into a beautiful care facility. She hired the best doctors to treat his diabetes. She visited him weekly, bringing her own children to meet the man who had changed her destiny. Thomas lived his final years surrounded by love and comfort. But more importantly, he lived knowing that his kindness had created ripples of compassion that would touch thousands of lives. The Thomas Williams Foundation grew beyond anyone's imagination. It fed hungry children. It supported struggling families. It trained teachers to recognize and help children in need. And every dollar given, every life transformed, could be traced back to one moment of selfless love. When Thomas passed away at 81, his funeral was attended by hundreds of people, children he had helped, families whose lives had been changed by the foundation bearing his name. Dr. Maria Santos spoke at his service. Thomas taught us that kindness is never wasted. Every act of love creates infinite possibilities. He proved that when we give from a place of pure compassion, the universe responds with miracles beyond our imagination. This profound story illustrates one of the Buddha's most beautiful teachings about the interconnectedness of all beings and the infinite power of compassion. In the Jataka tales, the Buddha tells us countless stories of how acts of kindness across lifetimes create bonds of love and protection that transcend time and space. But this isn't just ancient mythology. This is the living truth of how consciousness operates in our interconnected universe. When Thomas gave his $3 to Maria, he wasn't just giving money, he was giving hope. He was giving dignity. He was giving love. And in that moment, he was practicing what the Buddha called dana paramita, the perfection of generosity. True generosity, according to Buddhist teaching, is not about the size of the gift. It's about the purity of intention behind the giving. Thomas had almost nothing, yet he gave everything. This is what makes his gift infinitely powerful. The Buddha taught in the Dhammapada, "If you knew what I know about the power of giving, you would not let a single meal pass without sharing it in some way." But there's a deeper principle at work here that most people miss. When we give from a place of genuine love, when we sacrifice our own comfort for another's well-being, we align ourselves with the fundamental nature of the universe. The universe operates on love. Stars give their light freely. Trees give oxygen without payment. Rivers give water to all who need it. When Thomas chose to give rather than hoard, he aligned himself with this cosmic principle, and the universe responded by multiplying his gift a millionfold. This is the true meaning of the law of karma. It's not a mathematical equation where good deeds equal rewards. It's a recognition that when we act from love, we become channels for love to flow through. Maria's success wasn't just the result of her hard work. It was the result of being seen, valued, and loved at a crucial moment in her development. Thomas's act of kindness planted seeds of self-worth in Maria's heart. Those seeds grew into confidence. Confidence grew into achievement. Achievement grew into the power to transform other lives. This is how true karma works. It's not about individual payback. It's about creating streams of healing that flow through generations. In Tibetan Buddhism, there's a concept called merit accumulation. Every act of kindness creates positive energy that benefits not just the giver and receiver, but all sentient beings. When Thomas fed Maria, he wasn't just helping one child. He was helping all the patients. She would later heal as a doctor. He was helping all the children who would be fed by the foundation created in his name. He was participating in what Thich Nhat Hanh calls interbeing, the recognition that we are all interconnected threads in the fabric of existence. Your kindness to one person ripples out infinitely. Your compassion creates more compassion. Your love generates more love. This is why the Dalai Lama teaches, be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. Because kindness isn't just nice. It's not just morally good. It's the fundamental force that heals and transforms our world. But here's what's truly revolutionary about Thomas's story. He gave when he had nothing to give. He loved when he was hurting. He chose compassion in the midst of his own suffering. This is the highest form of spiritual practice. This is what the Buddha meant when he spoke of loving kindness without attachment. Thomas didn't give because he expected a reward. He didn't calculate what he might get in return. He gave because his heart couldn't do otherwise. And paradoxically, it was this complete lack of expectation that made his gift so powerful. The universe responds to the purity of our intention. When we give with the strings attached, when we help others, hoping for something in return, we limit the power of our own generosity. But when we give freely, when we love without condition, we open ourselves to receive abundance beyond our wildest imagination. This is the secret that mystics have known for thousands of years. The secret that Jesus pointed to when he said, "Give, and it will be given to you." The secret that Buddha revealed when he taught about the merit of dana. The secret that every spiritual tradition recognizes in some form. What you give, especially when you can least afford to give, comes back to you, multiplied beyond measure. But the multiplication happens not because you deserve a reward, but because you've aligned yourself with love itself. The question is, what are you being called to give? As we come to the end of this remarkable journey, I want you to feel the profound truth that Thomas discovered. You don't need wealth to change the world. You don't need power to transform lives. You don't need perfection to make a difference. You only need an open heart, a willingness to see another's need, and the courage to act with love. Thomas was just a janitor. He had no education, no social status, no financial resources, but he had something far more valuable. He had compassion, and he chose to act on it. That choice, that single moment of kindness, created a legacy that will outlive us all. Think about the ripples still spreading from his gift. Every child fed by the Thomas Williams Foundation. Every family helped. Every life transformed. All of it flowing from $3 and a heart full of love. This is your invitation. This is your calling. This is your opportunity to participate in the miracle of kindness. You may think your acts of compassion are too small to matter. You may believe you don't have enough to give. But Thomas teaches us that the size of the gift is never what matters. What matters is the love behind it. So I ask you, who is the Maria in your life? Who is the person crossing your path Who needs your kindness? It might be the cashier who seems overwhelmed. It might be the neighbor who appears lonely. It might be the coworker who's struggling silently. What small act of love is your heart calling you to perform today? What $3, metaphorically speaking, is the universe asking you to give away? And most importantly, are you willing to trust that your kindness matters, that your compassion creates real change, that your love ripples out infinitely, touching lives you may never know about? If this story has moved you, if it's awakened something in your heart, then please subscribe to Whispers of Dharma. Share this video with someone who needs to remember the power of their own kindness. Save it for those moments when you question whether small acts of love really make a difference. And most importantly, tell us in the comments about a time when someone's kindness changed your life, or share how you plan to honor Thomas's legacy with your own acts of compassion. Your story might be exactly what someone needs to hear today. Remember, you are more powerful than you know. Your kindness matters more than you realize. Your love creates ripples that extend far beyond what you can see. Choose kindness, choose compassion, choose love. The world is waiting for your unique gift of human goodness, and the universe is ready to multiply whatever you give beyond your wildest dreams.